Hey everyone, Zach here, and welcome. It is draft season. As the 2022 NFL Draft kicks off on April 28th, time has come where young college players will have their dreams of playing the NFL come true. Roger Goodell ready to introduce the next set of future NFL faces into the league. So, with my video today, I'll be doing an entire first round mock, no trades. I'll be laying out my thoughts and predictions of how the first round is going to unfold. I'm super excited for this year's draft. As prior years, we had a decent idea of how the top of the board was going to look like, whereas this year, it feels like anything is possible. Enough of this intro, let's get right into the mock. And to start things off, with the first pick, the Jacksonville Jaguars select Travon Walker, defensive end, Georgia. So the Jags here are in a very interesting spot as they could look to address their offensive line as to try and protect last year's number one pick, Trevor Lawrence, but instead adding Travon Walker, an absolute freak defensive end who absolutely tore up the combine, has a very, very high ceiling, 6'5", 275 pounds, freak athlete. Players like this do not come around often. The Jags just need to bring in a quality player here to try and increase the overall talent level of their roster. Walker may have some more technical developments needed than other defensive ends in this class, but his athletic profile, his true upside, is a little bit too much, I think, here for the Jaguars to pass up at number 1 overall. With the second pick, the Detroit Lions select Aiden Hutchinson, defensive end, Michigan. Detroit is in a situation where adding the best player available is the best way to increase the overall floor of this roster. Quarterback Jared Goff, he's expensive and hasn't really performed to the level they were hoping when they traded for him last offseason, but Hutchinson here is an obvious selection. Dominant final season in Michigan, a high-end athlete, and elite production blend into one of the best prospects in this year's draft. Detroit has great players up front in their defense already, but adding Hutchinson here is a no-brainer. He's arguably the best player in this draft. He's an absolute incredible addition here for the Lions at 2nd overall. With the third pick, the Houston Texans select Derek Stingley, cornerback, LSU. Stingley is a blue-chip cornerback talent and is exactly what the Texans should be aiming for here with their choice. After the past season with the Deshaun Watson drama over with, they can now focus on rebuilding arguably the least talented roster in the NFL. Starting off landing Derek Stingley here is fantastic. He does have some flaws as a prospect, he has some injury history, and at times wasn't the most locked in on the field. But that can all be overlooked as he had a phenomenal 2019 true freshman season where he was the best cornerback in all of college football. He's an elite athlete, he has elite size and production on the field. Derek Stingley was built in a lab to play cornerback in the NFL. With the fourth pick, the New York Jets select Sauce Gardner, cornerback, Cincinnati. The Jets have a lackluster secondary to say the least. Adding a lockdown, long, uber-productive corner in college would really help turn this secondary from a weakness into a strength. With head coach Robert Saleh admiring long corners in his defensive schemes, Sauce Gardner is a perfect mold to play in a Jets uniform. Great value for the Jets and a great fit for the two of them. The Jets would love landing Gardner here at 4. With the fifth pick, the New York Giants select Charles Cross, offensive tackle, Mississippi State. The Giants are in a really tough scenario as they've been poorly mismanaged with their draft picks and cap resources under their previous regime. This new regime must begin to add solid, cheap, young players to combat their really high salary cap. Adding a player like Charles Cross here is a great start. He's arguably the best pass protector along the offensive line in the entire draft. He's going to really help Daniel Jones, their quarterback, entering a make-or-break year. And giving their young quarterback help in the offensive line is a must for his further development. Cross is a great pickup for the Giants here at 5. With the sixth pick, the Carolina Panthers select Evan Neal, offensive tackle, Alabama. So the Panthers, similar to the Giants, have mismanaged and allocated resources poorly recently, as the roster has some serious weaknesses, specifically at quarterback and offensive line. This is definitely the spot in the draft where I think quarterbacks start to be talked about as being picked. For Carolina, I don't think it's the right play. They spent multiple mid-round picks last season for Sam Darnold and are paying him his fully guaranteed 5th-year option. And I don't think any quarterback prospects in this year's draft are leaps and bounds ahead of where Darnold is currently. They should do everything in their power to build an offense around Sam. Selecting Evan Neal here is a great way to do that. He's a freak athlete for his size at 6'7", 335 pounds. He's going to keep Sam upright and clean and really help this offense truly progress further. Adding a solid left tackle is exactly what the Panthers should do with Sam Darnold at quarterback. With the 7th pick, the New York Giants select Kayvon Thibodeaux, defensive end, Oregon. Giants own this selection via the Chicago Bears as the Bears traded up last season for Justin Fields. The Giants continue their additions of high-value positions to their roster, as this pick follows Charles Cross. Kayvon Thibodeaux is a long, elite defensive end prospect. He can help the Giants' near-absent pass rush from last season. Kayvon should come in day one and get after opposing quarterbacks. He is quite raw, needing some refinement of his technique, but he's a textbook defensive end build. Should really help bolster the Giants' defensive front. With the 8th pick, the Atlanta Falcons select Jameson Williams, wide receiver, Alabama. Falcons are entering a new era after moving off of long-term quarterback Matt Ryan this offseason. This is a team with some high-impact players on the roster, but as a whole, this roster needs an influx of young talent. Falcons have no reason to pigeonhole themselves into any specific position. They should be taking the best player on the board. In this case, Williams, the top wide receiver available, he's also the best deep threat in this draft, will help open up everything underneath in their offense for Kyle Pitts and others. Williams' field stretching ability will help everybody on their offense next season. With the 9th pick, the Seattle Seahawks select Ikem Ekwonu, offensive tackle, NC State. Seattle is entering the very difficult post-Russell Wilson world. A young quarterback very much could be in play here, such as a Malik Willis or a Kenny Pickett. But at this point, this Seahawks team is not going to compete for the playoffs with this current state of the roster. They need to have top-tier players to lift the floor, the overall talent floor of this roster. Adding a mauler up front in Ekwonu is exactly what they need to push forward with a more run-heavy approach, especially this season, while trying to figure out who their quarterback will be for the future. Ekwonu is a monster in the run game, needs some polishing on his pass protection, but having that skill set to lean on is a huge factor coming in as a rookie. With the 10th pick, the New York Jets select Drake London, wide receiver, USC. The Jets having their second first-round pick, which was originally from Seattle in the Jamal Adams trade. The Jets add another piece to the wide receiver core, adding more talent for Zach Wilson, the quarterback they drafted last season. Adding London, who's an intermediate threat in a Michael Thomas kind of mold, is a great addition alongside Corey Davis, who's on the outside, and Elijah Moore in the slot. London is a great addition to New York Jets offense. With the 11th pick, the Washington Commanders select Kyle Hamilton, safety, Notre Dame. Commanders, with their addition of Carson Wentz, keeps him out of the quarterback class this year, so the Commanders can go best player available. And adding Kyle Hamilton is a massive upgrade in their secondary. Hamilton can be that Swiss Army knife and have him defend tight ends, running backs. He can play in a deep position. He can play closer to the line in the box. He's a true versatile defensive weapon for Washington to employ. With the 12th pick, the Minnesota Vikings select Jermaine Johnson, defensive end, Florida State. Johnson is a prototypical, long, athletic defensive end who popped in his last season at Florida State and has a great display at all the pre-draft showcases. He aligns with the Vikings' kind of prototypical defensive end, the long, rangy, athletic edge rushers, and the Vikings bringing in Johnson here can address their defensive front and add another young pass rusher to the mix. With the 13th pick, the Houston Texans select Garrett Wilson, wide receiver, Ohio State. The Texans again have this draft pick from the Deshaun Watson trade. The Texans again are looking to add impact playmakers all over the roster. Adding Wilson, along with having Brandon Cooks already in the wide receiver room, gives young quarterback Davis Mills two top options in this passing game. The Texans, who need a young infusion of talent to this roster, continue to move forward with probably one of the most difficult rebuilds in the NFL. Wilson is a great addition to this team. With the 14th pick, the Baltimore Ravens select Trent McDuffie, cornerback, Washington. Ravens adding a young cornerback to an already great cornerback room. McDuffie is a great fit in the Ravens system. On the perimeter, McDuffie is a similar tier of prospect as Derek Stingley and Sauce Gardner as taken earlier. McDuffie's a solid man and zone cover corner. And with this, the Ravens get another playmaker on the back end of their defense, which they truly covet. With the 15th pick, the Philadelphia Eagles select Devonte Wyatt, defensive tackle, Georgia. Wyatt is a freak athlete for an interior defensive lineman. Philadelphia is known for selecting linemen early in the draft. They're not straying away from that process anytime soon. Adding Wyatt, who's an elite athlete, is a great way for Philadelphia to increase this talent level on the defensive front. And with some aging players such as Fletcher Cox and Brandon Graham, Wyatt could be the future for their defensive line. With the 16th pick, the New Orleans Saints select Chris Olave, wide receiver, Ohio State. The Saints, with their massive trade up to acquire an extra first-round pick in this year's draft, they land an intermediate, deep threat wide receiver to pair with Michael Thomas underneath. Olave, who's an elite route runner, will give Jameis Winston a great downfield target to stretch the field in their offense. With the 17th pick, the Los Angeles Chargers select Jordan Davis, defensive tackle, Georgia. Davis is a one-of-one prospect. We have not seen an athlete of his caliber at this size. He's going to be a two-down monster up front for the Chargers. He may not be the best at rushing the passer, but he will stop the run better than any defensive tackle in this draft class. Davis is an immediate help for the Chargers to stop the run and will be an immediate plug-and-play asset for them day one. With the 18th pick, the Philadelphia Eagles select Andrew Booth, cornerback, Clemson. Philly definitely needing help on the secondary, aside from Darius Slay. Andrew Booth can play on the outside with his above-average size and athleticism for the position. Booth should be a plug-and-play day-one starter for Philly across from Darius Slay. Now, with their 2 draft picks here adding 2 young, valuable pieces to their defense, Philly should be very excited for what the future holds. With the 19th pick, the New Orleans Saints select Trevor Penning, offensive tackle, Northern Iowa. Penning is a freaky small school offensive tackle, incredible athlete, incredible size. He looked like a man amongst boys playing at Northern Iowa. But his size and athleticism should translate well to the NFL. He may need some technical refinement and some elite coaching, but the Saints could possibly be landing their replacement for departed left tackle Teron Armstead. With the 20th pick, the Pittsburgh Steelers select Malik Willis, quarterback, Liberty. So here with Willis, he's a very high ceiling, but also has a very low floor. He's quite the toolsy quarterback, very mobile, very thick, strong arm, and again, that's quite the norm with the top tier quarterbacks in the NFL. The Steelers, again, are not going to need Willis to start from day one, as they have other possible starters on the roster already at the quarterback position. But Willis is this year's top-end quarterback prospect. Again, he needs a lot of refining. He needs a lot of coaching. He is quite raw. He does have accuracy concerns, but hopefully the coaching staff there can coach him up and improve those concerns. The Steelers, again, they can take this gamble on Willis as they have a top-notch roster. They have weapons surrounding him. And again, already having a proven starter at quarterback, they're not going to have to rush Willis to start any day soon. With the 21st pick, the New England Patriots select Devin Lloyd, linebacker, Utah. Patriots continue their new school transition to more speed and more athleticism at the linebacker position. And with Devin Lloyd, he is that new school prototype at the position. 6'3", 230 pounds. He's a former safety who converted to linebacker. He increased his weight so he could play closer to the line of scrimmage. He's able to cover well. He's great in space. He can blitz, and he's very good against the run. The Patriots would love to plug Devin Lloyd in the middle of their defense and have a very versatile piece to control in the middle of their defense. With the 22nd pick, the Green Bay Packers select George Pickens, wide receiver, Georgia. Packers own this pick from the Davante Adams trade, and now are using this on a young, physical, outside wide receiver in Pickens. Pickens does have some injury history that could be concerning, and it's kind of dampened his hype as an NFL prospect. But with the size, great intermediate force in the passing game, hopefully he can come in and gel with Aaron Rodgers and help replace some of the production lost with Davante Adams. With the 23rd pick, the Arizona Cardinals select George Karlaftis, defensive end, Purdue. Karlaftis is a versatile, athletic defensive end the Cardinals can pair across from J.J. Watt. After losing Chandler Jones, Karlaftis should be able to come in on the other edge and hopefully get after the quarterback. Karlaftis is a very, very high floor prospect. Incredible work ethic, incredible motor. He should come in and play meaningful reps for the Cardinals day one. With the 24th pick, the Dallas Cowboys select Tyler Linderbaum, center, Iowa. Dallas picks up a blue chip talent here at a lower value position in center, but Linderbaum is as good as it gets at the position. He's going to be a plug and play day one starter. He's going to help keep Dak Prescott upright in a clean pocket, where Dak has had the best success when he's having a strong offensive line in front of him. Adding Linderbaum with the rest of that core, Dallas will be laughing, adding a potential Pro Bowl caliber center as a rookie. With the 25th pick, the Buffalo Bills select Zion Johnson, guard, Boston College. The Bills add an elite athlete along the interior of their offensive line. Johnson is going to be a plug-and-play starter at guard for Buffalo. The big appeal here is helping protect Josh Allen, their franchise quarterback. Adding Johnson here is going to help reinforce this offensive line that at times had some problems last year. Adding a player like Johnson, he's going to be versatile, has spent time at tackle, but having him play at guard is probably where he's going to be best suited. This is a great pickup for the Bills. With the 26th pick, the Tennessee Titans select Bernhard Raimann, offensive tackle, Central Michigan. The Titans need to address their poor offensive line. With Ryan Tannehill and Derrick Henry in the backfield, they need to protect these guys as best as possible. Adding Raimann, who's somewhat of a project as he is quite new to football, but his athletic profile here is as a top percentile of an offensive line athlete that we've seen. Teams should be salivating to add this kind of player to their team. With the right coaching and in the right scheme, Raimann could be an absolute stud in the trenches next season. With the 27th pick, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers select Tyler Smith, offensive tackle, Tulsa. Tyler Smith, a very young player, only 21 years old. He's a freak athlete for his size, 6'5", 320 pounds. He played at tackle in college, but could possibly kick inside the guard, especially early on. He needs some refinement on his blocking techniques, but he has all the physical tools needed to succeed at the NFL level. With the 28th pick, the Green Bay Packers select Kenyon Green, guard, Texas A&M. So the Packers land a plug-and-play guard here and continuing their addition of young players to their offensive line. Keeping up Aaron Rodgers in the pocket is always going to be key for this Packers regime. Landing Green here should be a day one starter. He also does come with some position flexibility, as he had stints at every single spot along the offensive line in college. Green either is going to start day one or be a great young backup early on in his NFL career. With the 29th pick, the Kansas City Chiefs select Sky Moore, wide receiver, Western Michigan. Acquiring this pick and part of the Tyreek Hill trade, the Chiefs utilized this to add more weapons for Patrick Mahomes. Sky Moore is a very similar in body type to Tyreek Hill. You're not going to say to him take over the entire role that was vacated by Hill, but adding another young receiver with a similar profile is a great way to retool this offense moving forward post Tyreek. With the 30th pick, the Kansas City Chiefs select Travis Jones, defensive tackle, UConn. Chiefs here having back-to-back picks. This is their original selection. Taking an interior pass rusher to pair with Chris Jones is a great decision. Need to increase a weaker pass rush from this past season. Travis Jones is a twitchy athlete for his size and can win on the interior and really help bolster this defensive front for Kansas City, which has been lacking in recent years. With the 31st pick, the Cincinnati Bengals select Kaiir Elam, cornerback, Florida. The Bengals, coming off a Super Bowl appearance, they just got to keep taking the best players available. Preferably, they'd love to load up on the offensive line, but needing to add to the secondary, Elam is a long, outside perimeter corner. The Bengals would love to add him to an existing core in the back end, which is quite solid, but having another young, long cornerback is only going to benefit them moving forward. With the 32nd pick, the Detroit Lions select Matt Corral, quarterback, Ole Miss. The last pick of the first round here, the Lions have this pick from the LA Rams in that Matt Stafford trade. And with it here, take a gamble on a young, toolsy, very raw quarterback prospect in Corral. Again, having some great traits, he could develop into a nice quarterback. Him coming in behind Jared Goff means he doesn't have to start day one and he can just continue to learn and develop while Goff starts. Corral is a longer-term investment for the Lions, and at 32, it's worth the price to pay. And there it is, my 2022 NFL first-round mock draft. Again, this year seems so unpredictable. I am so excited to see how it unfolds. Thank you all for watching.